Look who's back with us, the chair of Senate Homeland Security. We're honored to have Senator Ron Johnson with us. Senator, it's great to see you. Talk to us about FBI Director Christopher Wray testifying behind closed doors on the Durham probe and Trump-Russia. Is he zeroing in on both the Hillary campaign and the FBI?
Hello, Elizabeth. Well, I hope he is. I think the indictments that have already been handed down by John Durham are shocking. Not shocking to me, but they should be shocking the American public. They should really rock the mainstream media, but they're not. They're by and large being ignored. I know we've had a few muted corrections, but it should trouble every American how the FBI, how the Department of Justice covered up and were involved in this hoax against the Trump campaign, the Trump administration. The deep state is very deep, and it should trouble every American.
You know, it looks like Durham in his indictment sees the Steele dossier as largely a Hillary Clinton campaign, paid for, funded fiction. The danger is that Russian disinformation got into that dossier and got into the FBI. The Durham indictments are indicating the fear of that. What do you say?
Well, yes. I mean, what's being revealed, the Alpha Bank allegation was also cooked up by people affiliated with the Clinton campaign. But remember, we had a FISA report from Inspector General Horowitz that in the body of the report, it said that Bill Priestap said that there was no knowledge within the FBI that there was any Russian taint to that Steele dossier. But my staff uncovered redacted footnotes, classified footnotes that completely contradicted what was in the body of the FISA report. So I asked Michael Horowitz, who redacted that? And he said, well, higher-ups in the Department of Justice and the FBI. So that's why the FBI, the Department of Justice, they have to end the cover-up. They need to become transparent. I had to subpoena Christopher Wray. I didn't even get a fraction of the information that we subpoenaed. And then President Trump, on the last few days of office, declassified probably a treasure trove of information. We have not seen one document from that declassification effort. So Christopher Wray continues to cover up for his agency. His agency was corrupt. It put this country through political turmoil for years, I would argue culminating in January 6th. But conservatives we're not surprised by any of this. We've seen the complicity of the mainstream media, the cover-up by the mainstream media, together with the cover-up of the FBI.
So what were in those footnotes that your team saw that contradicted the FBI? I think it was acting director, assistant director Bill Priestap. Bill Priestap's he basically made a statement that said there was no Russian disinformation in the Steele dossier, no Russian influence. Durham's indictment of Igor Danchenko, the main source for the Clinton Steele dossier, he's saying, yeah, he fears that. What did you guys see in the uncensored, unredacted footnotes?
Again, Bill Priestap said the FBI had no knowledge that there was any Russian disinformation in the Steele dossier. The footnotes completely contradicted him. They basically said that the FBI knew that, I think, as early as October 2016, but for sure by January 2017, that you had those connections, that there was definitely a concern that Russia was involved in creating that Steele dossier, that it in fact was Russian collusion with the Clinton campaign that was actually driving this and fueled the entire Mueller probe. And they knew this. They knew this before the election, and they knew it shortly after President Trump took office, for sure.
This should be continue, because this should be front and center. To finish your thought, go ahead.
No, it should be front page news. This should be massive news. This should be a massive scandal. But again, the mainstream media, they are on the side of the left. They basically installed Biden, allowed him to win a president's campaigning from his basement. They are complicit in this. They will never admit they were wrong. They're certainly not going to publicize it much. They'll quietly publish a few retractions and then move on. That's why Rush Limbaugh was perfectly accurate in describing them as the drive-by media.
You know, the Mueller probe found no Trump-Russia collusion. They found multiple contacts between the Trump campaign and Russia, and that Russia did hack Democrats to help Trump. Bob Woodward says this Steele dossier was a garbage document. The public wasted time on this nonsense. But now the main focus should be, did Russian disinformation, which is treating the 2020 election like a cat's paw, did Russia purposely put disinformation inside the FBI? The FBI used that disinformation to get FISA wiretaps to spy on the Trump Trump campaign. If Russia can feel that it can go to those lengths, that's terrifying. That should be scary, that the intelligence communities can be manipulated like that when we have bias coming out of Peter Strzok in text messages and others in the Trump, against the Trump campaign. It's like the FBI was just buying its time, waiting for more information to come out to get Trump, but it didn't arrive. Why all along Russia's playing this? What do you say?
You're blaming the wrong entity. You need to blame those actors in the FBI that knew full well that the main source of the Mueller probe was the Steele dossier that was tainted by Russian disinformation. They knew that. They knew that very early on. They should have given no credence to it. And quite honestly, Christopher Wray, under his leadership, the FBI came and then briefed the Senate Intelligence Committee, I think in March of 2018, and said that the Steele dossier was credible. So again, the FBI knew this back in 2016, but they continue to play along with it. That is complete and total corruption that was not corrected by Christopher Wray. That's why I hope there was some fireworks in that House Intel confidential briefing, but Christopher Wray has an awful lot to account for, as well as other actors.
But former FBI acting director Andrew McCabe got his pension reinstated. He was fired for misleading FBI officials over leaking about the Clinton Foundation story to outlets like the Wall Street Journal. And we have, Peter Strzok, as you've pointed out, was saying FBI sister agencies were leaking like mad. They felt scorned and worried after Trump won, and so they kicked into overdrive their political leaks to the media. So where's the accountability? Final word.
Well, it's through public exposure. But again, you're describing the deep state. The deep state is not populated by conservatives. It's populated by leftists. They support the Democrat Party. And so you can only interpret what the reinstatement of the pension and paying off Andrew McCabe's attorney fees as a reward for his corruption. How else can you interpret that by Merrick Garland and President Biden? This is total corruption.
We hear you. We're going to stay on the story. You and I, we've been talking about this for about 5 years. Senator Ron Johnson, it's always great to have you on to interview and hear your thoughts about this. It's good to see you again. Come back soon.